Hello and welcome at the Light 'em Up Lounge. A very happy and warm Wednesday evening to all of you. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're joining us from. Thanks for sharing some of your precious time with us again this week. As every week, lovely to see everybody for a wonderful tasting session today. We're not just hosting a wonderful interview with a dear friend, a dear fellow, and an absolute gentleman of the cigar industry, but we're going to be tasting two cigars side by side and explore what age and maturation can do to tobacco and cigars in a live tasting session here. I'm beyond happy and honored to welcome the one and only Philippo Costi here with me from Selva Cigars, who was spearheading this wonderful project called 10+10. And Filippo is going to tell us all about that, and we're going to taste the cigars. But again, a very warm welcome to all of you. Thanks for joining us. As always, if you're watching on Facebook, please make yourselves heard in the comments. Put your questions underneath the live stream, and I'll happily forward all of them to Filippo here at the lounge. For you, friends and family here with us via Zoom, chime in, make yourselves heard. Hands up. We'd love to hear your thoughts and your comments and questions. So without further ado, here's the CCO of Selva Cigars, Philippo Costi, joining us live from Paris. Welcome, Filippo. Thanks for being here with us.
Oh, thanks to you. Thanks the idea to do it online, and more than to do it, because unfortunately I don't think that everybody will be able at the date to go through the experience. The idea to talk about, because it has an idea behind. It was not just the idea to find a new tasting experience. It would like to be something to share with all the industry. 10 years ago, Maya thought that the market for the age-old New World cigar would be a reality. And it would be a reality if the industry would be involved, meaning if the brand would certify and warranty about the aging of a cigar. At the time, we did not have any experience about aged rolled cigars. Of course, we've been using, as I would say, many or all in the industry, we've been using tobacco that was aged, that it been in the bales, but individually, seco with seco, ligero with ligero, all kind of different tobacco, aging by themselves, not being despalillado. So the main question was what would happen aging in our warehouse. As you know, every cigar, every vitola in our portfolio has a different blend. So we've been very careful to age vitola by vitola separately, and the idea of Maya was that if you are a good man, you become a good old man. So if you are a good tobacco, you should become a good old tobacco. And the bet was leaving the tobacco of the blend, those 5 tobaccos, breathing together, rolled, and just getting the time to become an old good tobacco. And as we didn't do this experience before, we didn't really know if small vitolas like Siesta Fino would age better than bigger vitolas like a double Corona or so we've been aging several different vitolas during the last 10 years because we do believe that beside the regular production and the traditional market, there is a demand and there is a curiosity of the aficionados for age rolled New World cigars. So the idea has been to unveil this box, now this edition with 10 cigars, and in our portfolio it's known as number 15 because we launched it for our 15th anniversary. Very soon we're gonna celebrate our 30th anniversary, and the blend is the same. So on one side you have the opportunity also to taste consistency. We always talk about consistency, quality and stuff, but very few times you have the opportunity to have on your hands two cigars that are being rolled the same way, that are being produced with the same blend, and to see what time did to the tobacco. So the idea is, instead of doing a pairing with rum, with a whiskey, with a champagne, or with a chocolate, or some other product, the idea is to do a pairing with both cigars. Whenever you're gonna be have the opportunity to find it in. Actually, we are distributing mainly in the US, although I know that some aficionado from other countries succeed to buy it. You will find all those small details that we always love, no? That are part of the moment of enjoying the cigar. By the color of the cellophane of the age one, that it's way more mellow, more aromatic and yellowish. It's almost amber. To the old band with the old logo compared to the actual one. So those small details that makes you appreciate the tasting.
Well, Filippo, first of all, I have to say I'm fascinated by the idea and the concept, and I'm very happy that you jumped on the occasion and you took the opportunity to present such a unique concept, to have two cigars presented side by side, and to give everybody an opportunity to truly understand and taste what aging and what maturation will do to tobacco and the finished cigar. So first of all, I want to applaud and congratulate you on the wonderful concept. And as I said, it's a privilege to do this tasting here with you live at the lounge and with all the people joining us. So I think what we're going to do is we'll just light both of them up and compare our notes and just talk about the experience that you went through developing the whole concept, and of course we'll also share some of our tasting experiences live here, enjoying those beautiful number 15 cigars side by side.
Thanks. I suggest to start with a recent one, with entre guillemets the youngest, no, the one that you can find in any tobacconist. As everybody has its small manias, I like to cut the torpedo in a diagonal way, not to have a flash cut.
Two questions, Filippo. First of all, why would you suggest starting with the more recent cigar? And secondly, can you explain why you prefer the slightly angled cut on the torpedo versus just a straight cut?
Yeah. When we've been tasting the cigars during the last years, we've been tasting the aging cigar, let's say every couple of years. We were always very curious, very in apprehension, no, like with your own kids, no, see how they were belonging. So when I start sharing with some friends the experience before launching in the market, because I was very worried that we were so in love of a project of cigars that we were very indulgent with. So we really needed to have an exterior feedback. And when I had the opportunity to sit with some friends that I consider that they really have the experience and that they would tell me the truth, I didn't want any nice answer, no? I was jumping immediately to the age one. And then we were smoking the recent one. And the recent one was like less intriguing, no? So I think that starting with the recent one pays also respect to the other one that is been waiting for 10 years. But I would like to have also your feedback, because today is going to be your first time.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think I'm getting too much philosophical and just enjoying a cigar. A cigar is made to be enjoyed, no? And the less we talk about, and better it is. But
so, Filippo, to start with, what I would love to hear is just your thoughts initially on the number 15 as a regular production cigar. If you were to just pick out one of these cigars from your humidor, what do you expect, and what is the experience that Maya Selva Cigars is trying to portray with that particular cigar if you just buy it regularly off the shelf and you have a recent edition? And then I think in contrast to that, in a moment we can also side by side light up the aged version and compare the nuances. But maybe you want to start by sharing some initial thoughts about the intention and the initial experience of the number 15 as we have it here in the most recent version, please.
As usual, we are talking about a puro Honduras, no? And talking about Connecticut wrapper. an Honduran Connecticut wrapper. What I learned is that compared to other Connecticut wrappers, the Honduran one has a very specific uniqueness. When you go from Tegucigalpa to Danlí, you have to go uphill. You have hills that surround the valley of Llamastan, El Paraíso, and those hills are very dry, yellowish almost. The only thing you have are pine trees. So when you go up, you have this scenario of dry mountains with pine trees, and then you see the valley. And if it's in the right period, you see this green sea on your feet. The wind follows the same journey. The wind that comes uphill and goes down goes through the pine trees as a comb and takes the taste of the pine nuts down to the valley. So this Connecticut wrapper, being such a delicate wrapper, I think it's almost the thinner wrapper that is used in the industry, gets that point of pine nuts in the taste. So whenever I light a Flor de Selva Connecticut, I always expect and look for this specific flavor. And what drives me to number 15 towards instead of a Robusto are two main things. The Robusto is the middle blend in all our lines. Whenever you go to a smaller vitola, you have a stronger blend. Whenever you go to a bigger vitola, you have a lighter blend. So, and it's a pleasure because you realize the tradition, the capacity, the handwork of doing the shape of the torpedo, no? So it's not just only the taste of the blend, it's also handing an artisanal work that is unique. Plus, it's a lighter blend than the Robusto, so more or less it's the same time of smoke, but it's more pleasant.
So, Filippo, when you started thinking about the 10+10 concept, how did you arrive at the decision to take this particular cigar, this particular blend, and the vitola, the pericoso, pyramidas shape that we have here, over any of the other cigars that you have in your portfolio? Because people could argue that, at least in the wine industry, you would presume that certain wines, based on their intrinsic qualities, lend themselves more for prolonged periods of aging, whereas sometimes people think if you have a lighter wine with less alcohol, less tannins, or less character in general, the wine could possibly not be as suitable for a prolonged aging period, which is not always the case, to be frank. And we've seen stellar examples even of crisp, dry white wines from the Wachau region in Austria, for example, that are lighter in alcohol, but beautiful after 15, 20, 25 years of aging. But going back to my initial question, how did you come to the decision that this is the blend and the vitola that you wanted to pick for this particular project?
Yeah. Okay, so as we've been talking at the beginning, we tasted. It was a trial. We didn't know if we would have to throw everything away a few years later. So we choose 6 vitolas from our portfolio in the Connecticut wrapper. The Siesta, that it's a 4.25 by 40. The Fino, that's 6 by 44. A regular Robusto that, of course, couldn't miss. It's 5 by 50, 4.75 by 50. This number 15, and then 2 big size Vitola, that's Double Corona, and the Tempo, that is a 6 by 60. Again, our idea was to open, to give you the opportunity to the aficionados to taste age-roll New World cigars, okay? Hoping that other brands also will be in the market in this category, in this market. So finally, this is going to be a unique edition with the 10 aged and the 10 regular production new. From next year, we will be in the market with boxes of only aged cigar, because if you want to have this experience, you just have to go to the tobacconist and buy the regular production. So you don't need to buy it. But this, it was the first, it was the bell to say, hey, we do believe that this is the market. And why we choose this? Because we could have done it with Robusto or with the number 15. We found out that, in our opinion, the blend of a number 15 for the tobacco that have been used really aged gorgeously, magnificent. And that this offer of tasting experience, it wouldn't have a sense to do it with the siestas, to put a siesta, the 2 siesta, and try the 2 siesta, or with 2 double Corona. I mean, imagine doing that with 2 double Corona. So it was just also beside the result of the aging of a blend, also a technical and practical reason why we choose to use number 15. Shall we light the second one? Are you ready?
Absolutely. Yes, please. Philippo, whilst you're lighting up, maybe you can share a few quick words, please, with our Light 'em Up family about your initial start with Maya Selva. You've been with the company for 5 years now, I believe, after an eclectic career in the world of luxury goods, the watch industry. You have a PhD. You're a doctor in architecture, and so with an illustrious career and plenty of experience in various different industries, you eventually ended up in the premium cigar industry on the dark side of the force. And tell us a little bit about your personal journey and how you got started with Maya Selva.
We know each other with Maya and Philippe, her husband, for over 30 years. And as a matter of fact, the first time I went to Honduran was for the wedding, and it was completely another country, I can assure. And we lost contact. No, I was living in Spain, I moved to Venezuela, then I established in Panama. And one day I'm in the airport in Panama, taking a flight, and I hear the voice of Maya. She was talking on the phone. And so I stopped. I started screaming, Maya, Maya, and she was on the phone, and she said, "Oh," she hung up the phone call, and we hugged. And the first thing we did, we exchanged our new numbers, because at the time when we met, there were no mobile phones. We are that generation that grew up with no mobile phones. And so something like a year after, a couple of years after, she was again in Panama, and we met. We were having a coffee, and she told me about her ideas of what Flor de Selva and Maya Selva Cigar she wanted to become. That she was looking for somebody that was not from the industry, that had enough experience in the international markets, that loved cigars. So she offered me to join her in this new adventure. And my first answer was no. I mean, I didn't know anything about cigars. I just used to smoke them. I've been for 15 years in as you said, in distribution for watches and jewelry of Italian brands, and then, like in The Godfather, she made me an offer that I couldn't say no. In a very subtle way. She flew to Honduras and called me again, and she said, "But what are you doing the next days?" I said, "Oh, you know, it's just before Easter. I'm home. I'm not gonna have to travel." Say, "Come over. Did you ever saw what is a premium cigar factory?" I said, "No." So say, "Okay, come over." So the day after, I took a plane. I flew from Panama to Tegucigalpa, and we spent 3 days, as she likes to say, from seed to the box, smoking all day, meeting people, getting close to those guys that you don't consider almost, no? You saw these old guys walking with old trousers, old t-shirts, with the cachucha, with the hat, but they know everything, no? And at night, seated with them, talking about nature, about people, about tradition, about tobacco. And so she played very dirty with me in that side, because I really fall in love of tobacco and of premium cigar industry. So taking me back to the airport, she said, "Okay, so what you think about?" And I said, "No, you know, I'm in love of all what I'm being through these days, but I still have to be very sincere. I mean, I have no idea of the industry. I mean, completely out of the box." You say, "Okay, don't worry. I give you 2 years. You will learn for 2 years. You will make all the mistakes. You will learn and stuff. And then I'm gonna pretend from you results and stuff." So also this side of the bet, I thought it was a great opportunity. So I went back home, and my wife said, "So how was everything and stuff?" And I said, "Oh, you know, fantastic stuff." And So what did you decide? I said, no, I told Maya that no way. I mean, I'm not gonna change business. I'm not gonna change stuff. And the day after, when I wake up, my wife looked at me and said, "Are you really sure?" And I couldn't answer. So she said, "I think you should consider and call her back," and that's how it started.
What a lovely story. One thing I'm curious about, did you ever speak with Maya about why she particularly wanted somebody who was not from the cigar experience and was maybe lacking certain parts of the experience for this particular industry, but just has a completely different mindset and a different way of thinking and looking at things?
No, I think it would be very dangerous nowadays because I drive her crazy with crazy ideas about boxes, about projects like this one, and she always tell me, "Oh no, in the tobacco we don't do that. Oh no, in the tobacco we don't do that." And so I take advantage too much about our friendship with things, and but I think that slowly I'm landing in the environment, and I think also that from her point of view, that's what I learned working. I never really work closely. I hope you don't gonna take me as a politically incorrect guy, no? I never really worked close with a woman, and what I can say is that women are much more straight in business than at least the men with whom I've been dealing through my last 40 years, no? And I think that one of the things she didn't want was to take an expert manager from another brand, saying that she might steal somebody or taking advantage of information he or she would have been managing. I think this is one of the reasons. The other thing, I think that it was trust. And finally, I think that she really felt that I was in love of Premium Cigar.
Absolutely. And I mean, in all honesty, as you very well know, I come from a completely different background myself. I worked in the hospitality industry and as a consultant for luxury brands and five-star hospitality. I do come from the wine and spirit side, and I find it refreshing to look at the cigar industry with a fresh set of eyes and to bring to the industry different experiences, different expertise, and then maybe you just naturally start to do things slightly differently, and not because it's tried and true in that particular industry or in that particular niche, which is very refreshing, I feel. And it's an injection of fresh blood into an industry that, and we all love that, is so heavily based on century-old tradition and knowledge being passed down from generation to generation. But to go at it with a fresh set of eyes every now and then, I think is very important, and what gives the industry such a wide cast and wide variety of characters, of styles, influences. I mean, I've rarely seen any other industry where the previous background and work experience of even the principals of most companies is so diverse, especially when you look at the quote unquote boutique category nowadays. You know, there's artists, musicians, there's people who come from various different industries and segments, taking their chances in the cigar business and trying to do things differently. And that I find highly refreshing and very interesting.
Yeah. You know, I always say that I'm very Aristotelic. Aristotle would be talking about the world of ideas. Used to say that that philosophers and artists would go up to the cloud. That was an antilitteram Microsoft cloud at the time of Aristotle, and that would pick ideas and take it down to the world. And so I think that you don't really create or invent an idea. You just pick it and share it. And if you have an idea from another industry and you place it and use it in a different environment, you're gonna have a different result using the same idea. So coming from different fields, and plus this remembers something I learned from my father that used to say that if you have a dollar and I have a dollar and we interchange, you keep a dollar and I keep a dollar. But if you have an idea and I have an idea, we interchange, you keep two ideas and I will keep two ideas. So ideas are to be shared, and the tobacco industry, the premium cigar industry is really a field where it's been through so many centuries and has so much tradition in which you can still put and plant new ideas and having new fresh results.
So, Filippo, if we probably want to start sharing a few of our impressions and experiences with the cigar here, I'm well at cruising speed here now with both cigars, and I find that on the most recent cigar, the younger one, there is a brightness to it. There was even hints of a citric quality and an ethereal quality that would give you a light, almost effervescent sensation and a certain brightness to it, which I do not find as much on the aged version, where the experience is, interestingly enough, and I wouldn't have guessed in the first place, but the aged version gives me a richer sensation, which is denser and has a firm body and core with mellowness and an expressive sweetness to it, and it has a firmer grip compared to the more recent edition that is brighter, has those floral notes, a slight citric quality. So very interesting start here. How do you see and how do the two cigars present themselves to you?
First of all, I don't know if you can see the difference between the body of the smoke.
100%, absolutely. That's also something that I wanted to mention.
How the age one, it's really like an age guy, no? More posado, no? It more has his intensity, and the smoke, it's really, I'm here, no? I'm it's a really bold smoke, and it's the other thing that I personally like is that the cigar are being aged 10 years, not in the boxes. So there is no hint of wood, of cedar in the taste. It's a clean. It's really the tobacco, no? So but I totally agree with you about this scent of citric that we know, no? When we have an orange juice, a fresh press orange juice, we say immediately you have to drink it because it oxidized and it's losing the
Its fibers.
vitamins and the yeah. So somehow, yeah, in this one, it went over. No, it melted into, and that's the other thing I found between the two cigars. Somehow, and maybe because I'm too into the line. When I smoke the recent one, I almost appreciate the different tobaccos that compose the blend. While in the age one, somehow they've been breathing for 10 years together and they melted together and they become a unicity, an entity, no? And for me, it's more one entity. The tobacco are melted together.
And interestingly enough, I mean, it's you couldn't say that it's like smoking a different cigar entirely. You can still see a clear and concise path, and you can see it's the same family. It has the same origin, but it just presents itself in a totally different garment, in a totally different dress, and has a much different experience to it, which in and by itself is just fascinating. Another aspect to look at is that one could possibly argue when you have a cigar sitting in your humidor for 10 plus years, obviously the tobacco will give up some of its nuances. In this case, probably, as we said, the brightness is not as present anymore. But people could possibly argue that after a certain period of time, the cigar will lose its initial presence, its initial focus and richness, whereas the aged cigar here doesn't feel less focused and dense. Quite the opposite. It almost feels as if it were a richer cigar compared to the more recent version that presents itself with a lighter touch, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. And again, remember when I started, I pointed the wish that the market for the age-old New World cigar should be somehow having the warranty of a brand, no? So those cigars are being aged with temperature control, humidity control, and light control. And they are being aged by themselves. It's not the same thing that we usually do in our own humidor, where we put a lot of different cigars together. And don't forget, the cigar is an alive entity. We all know that it's an alive entity, that it's breathing. So as a matter of fact, all the cigars we have in the humidor, they breathe together and they breathe a little bit from one each other, no? I just came to my mind, I have a person in the office that always asks me to bring back from the US cigars that are not available in France. And I oblige myself to smoke everything that I can find, good or bad, no? And in a trip, I put in a Ziploc, I put several cigars, and I did the mistake to put a flavored cigar. And when I arrived to Paris and we opened all the cigars, he threw everything away, no? Because everything was flavored stuff. So that's an extreme situation. But it's true that if we live different cigars together. At the end, even if we don't realize, if we don't have a perception, they are not anymore what they used to be. Now, in Italian, we have this expression that if you sleep with kids, you wake up wet. It depends with whom you belong, with whom you go out, who are your friends. They have influence on you. So it depends which cigar you put together in a humidor. At the end,
I couldn't agree more. Filippo, whilst we're enjoying our cigars here and whilst we continue to progress into the second third of our two samples here, we have a very lively discussion in the chat here in the Zoom lounge, because people were curious about the way you cut and light the cigar. And obviously you mentioned that you cut your bellicoso head at a slight angle, but then the question erupted as to whether you cut the cigar first and then you light it, or if you do it the other way around and you start by lighting your cigar and cutting it afterwards. Do you have a position on this, or have you done any side-by-side comparisons on how you cut and light the cigar?
Oh, I think that each of us walks in a different way, and each of us smoke a cigar in a different way. The other day in Dortmund, I was with a client, and I was looking how he was lighting the cigar. He lighted, and then he cut it. And I was curious to know if it was a mistake or stuff. And he told me, no, I always do that because when I cut it, it sucks and stuff. I say, okay, I respect your point. I prefer to cut it before because I like to cold draw the cigar before lighting. It's like a double checking of the draw, and it has, a way to meet your cigar, no, to get knowing your cigar before you light it. So yes. And the other conversation we had in Dortmund was about V-cut, straight cut, punch, and stuff. My personal opinion is that I have too much respect for the work of the torcedores, the way they end the cigar. I found personally the V-cut too aggressive and not respectful for the work of the. So I always prefer to use a straight cut. And by the way, these kind of cutters that somehow they don't allow me to cut too much of the head of the cigar. But again, it's a personal habit, and again, it's a way to take your time before enjoying the cigar.
I couldn't agree more with that. We have plenty of questions here from people at the lounge, so I would love to bring in Brian, who had his hand up first, and hear his thoughts about the whole cut and light, and of course of our side-by-side tasting here. Welcome, Brian.
Hello, thank you. Fantastic. This is a exciting conversation. I wish the folks on Facebook, I wish they could follow our chat because it got pretty exciting. I think Javier, I think basically kind of wrapped it up with basically the same thing that you said, which is the best way to do something is the way that you do it. It's a lot of personal preference, and everyone's different, and something works for you. So I think that is the truth. that being said, maybe some things are objective, maybe not. I just looked over and realized that I don't know what I was thinking this morning, and I happened to be sitting here with a cigar and a mocha latte and a margarita. Am I crazy? From like a luxury sensory point of view, is there wrong or is there no wrong? Is it just personal preference?
It depends also in the season, no? What you enjoy, how we dress in winter towards how we dress in summer. Hopefully, we don't do that. We don't do always the same things. That takes me back to my first love in tobacco. That was for pipes, and I remember that I used to get dressed and then to choose the pipe that I would use that day, no? And there was not a written habit. It was a silent conversation with those pieces of wood that I still think that they have a lot of energy, the energy of a pipe maker that did it by hand, that will communicate, hey, today is my day, or today is stuff. So as long as your stomach can stand the latte and stuff, I think that it's a perfect combination. No? It gives you completely a broad experience.
Thank you. I appreciate that. One quick comment and one an actual serious question. I don't know. The only thing that looks cooler than a person smoking a cigar in excellent attire is a person smoking 2 cigars simultaneously in style. Okay. A serious question. In terms of the aging, do you feel like, well, I guess what's the process before they're rolled? So usually with a lot of brands, there is a lot of aging before they're rolled and then maybe not so much after, or maybe a little bit after. This is a lot of aging after. So is it your philosophy that this is a replacement for the pre-roll aging, or is it a little combination of both?
No, you pointed a good point that we didn't touch. We are talking about 10 years old age-rolled cigars. As a matter of fact, it's not 10 years old tobacco. We already been using tobacco that are being aged for 3 or 4 years. Plus, then you roll it. They stay at least other 6 months in the factory. Then they are shipped to Europe or to the US, and they are stored in the warehouse where you have usually several thousand of hundreds of thousands of millions of cigars. So really, when a final smoker buys a cigar, it's already aged 4 or 5 years. No. But again, it was an easy way to present this new idea, no, for new work. But again, the 3 or 4 years that the tobacco are being aged before being rolling, they've been aging in bales individually. So somehow it's part of the result, but what we wanted to point it was that we offer a 10 years rolled cigar, and again 10 years that the 5 tobaccos are being breathing together and melting together. things that they couldn't do it in the bales.
Perfect. Fascinating. So yeah, that aging doesn't replace the pre-roll aging. Okay. Great. Thank you very much.
It's a complementary. It's part of a result, but yeah. But there are two steps, two phases, different phases that brings you to the final result.
Filippo, one interesting sensation that I'm picking up from the aged cigar, which I did not find yet in the more recent version, is in the middle section here. The cigar is offering a distinct herbaceous quality. It almost reminds me of lovage or a bit of that stock cube like herbaceous quality. So there's a green, not yet spicy, but there's a green herbaceous quality to it that has a lot of depth and a lot of richness to it, like a broth, like a stock cube. And the more recent cigar, the younger cigar, continues its trajectory with offering those brighter, more lively citrusy qualities with a slight and a very light cedary wood underneath, whereas still the aged cigar is much denser and richer, and it has that added layer of that herbaceous quality to it, which brings another layer of excitement, I feel.
I totally agree. As an example, it brings me the idea of talking with somebody younger. The way we would talk, it's a little bit higher volume, quicker. While if I sit to talk with somebody that is more aged, the sensation is that the tone would be lower and the talk would be slower, and that's what
Considerate.
Yes, when I smoke them together, I have this feeling, no, rush towards
tranquility,
not rest, but tranquility, no. And yeah, we say that at a certain point of our age, we don't have time to smoke bad cigars, no.
Filippo, one thing I'm very curious about is when you start conceptualizing this particular project, what were your initial expectations, and what did you presume that the cigars would offer, and did it somehow present itself differently once you actually had those two cigars side by side for the first time, and the way they presented themselves?
I've been smoking them, as you know, for the last 5 years regularly, so I was too involved. What I can share with you are some experiences. I told you I've been, before putting the green light to the project to commercialize it, I wanted to test it with some friends, some clients, and one of them didn't trust me. He was looking at me with a half a smile, listening to all what I was telling him, and he didn't believe me. So I told him, oh, yeah, but don't you see the amber color of the cellophane? They said, oh, I thought you would use yellow cellophane. Oh, don't you see the old band? Oh, but you could have printed recently the old band and put it on a. And I was saying, really, but we've been in the market for 30 years. We've been we don't need to cheat the market, telling a fake story just to sell few hundred cigars. That's not a business. That's not a business. Like there's not a business limited edition. And So I said, you know what? Let's sit, let's smoke the cigar, and you tell me what you think about. If I'm cheating you or... So he been smoking the cigar. He was seated in a Chesterfield couch in front of me. And at a certain point, when he was more or less to this point, his face just had a big smile. And I was asking, so? I said, oh, you are right. And I think that this could become my daily cigar for special occasion, because I really recognize that it has something that I cannot find in actual production and stuff. That moment was the moment where I called Maya and said, let's work on the box, let's work on the design. This box has been the fifth box we've been drawing, for going through different ideas how to present it and stuff. So it took a while to finally decide decide the box. And so I didn't have any expectation. I really believed that we have an honest product, an honest cigar, and that the result would come by the people that would smoke it and realize that we were not cheating. And that's, again, the point I was underlining at the beginning. It's very important that this special market of age rolled cigar has to be backed by the credibility of the brands. That if they tell you that they are being stored for 10 years, rolled 10 years ago and stuff, it's the credibility of the brand that it's in place.
Beautiful. Reinhard had his hand up for a while, so over to Dubai. And Reinhard, I'd love to hear your thoughts and your questions.
Hey everyone, how are you? Oops, my earpiece just fell. Hold on a second. And we are good. Hope you're doing well. This is so interesting. So Filippo had the courtesy and the generosity to share with me a set of those cigars. I unfortunately till today did not have the chance to smoke them, and unfortunately, because I was out of Dubai, I did not have the chance to come on time to light them up with you. But I'm very excited about the opportunity to do this, and I find it very interesting that today is the day where it just so happens that my boxes started moving to Dubai. So I'll be able to offer this amazing experience to my clients and friends and so on. The question I have, it's funny because my partner Abdullah has always had the habit of lighting up two different cigars at the same time, especially when we meet up for lunch. We have the habit of getting together every weekend for a bit of a boozy lunch on Friday with a lot of cigars. And instead of smoking two consecutive cigars, what he always does is gets a cigar from the right and a cigar from the left, like literally night and day, and he smokes them. And I never understood that till I started doing it as he does it, and I got into it. Now, I've had the chance of smoking cigars that are, for example, a vintage cigar or 2014 and 2016, but I never had the chance, or I smoked them back to back, but I never actually done that simultaneously. So the thing that crosses my mind, and I would love both of you to answer me actually, starting with Filippo if possible, as you're smoking the vintage or the aged one versus the young one, do they at some point, I mean, earlier, Reinhard was saying how you can see that they come from the same family, how you can almost trace certain flavors of commonality between them. The question is, do they in your palate at some point, and I'm not trying to over philosophize it, but I'm really curious, do they at certain point meat in your palate and sort of just simply as the more you smoke combine into a single flavor? Or do you still, as you smoke them, are able to go through the first third, the second third, the third third? Can you still, as you continue to smoke the cigar, be able to differentiate between them? Or do they, as two brothers, which they are, blend into a single flavor in your palate and become one? And I know, as much as I wasn't trying to make it a philosophical question, it does sound like one, but it's just a curiosity that I have.
Okay, first of all, I've been talking too much to be really going through that. I'm taking advantage of other time where I smoked both, thinking about what I was smoking. And my personal answer is no. You smoke one another, and you still realize that even if it's the same blend, each has its own character. And you're really I personally really enjoying, because again, it's like being seated with a young guy and an old guy with the same conversation, but in a moment it's the young guy that is talking, and the other moment it's the aged guy that is talking. Sometimes you are talking. They don't meld together for me when you smoke. You still recognize them. Now,
That's an interesting analogy.
Am I able to think about the evolution on thirds of each of them? No, I didn't pay attention. It's a different experience. It's a different experience from when you really smoke one cigar and you really want to go through the evolution of the cigar and the strength they are getting towards the end. And in my opinion, Reinhard.
So first of all, I think it's a wonderful question, right? And I would agree that if you're not careful in the way you taste the cigars side by side, and if I were to take puffs steadily from both cigars almost simultaneously, you would certainly have an intermingling experience, and you would certainly have certain layovers and influences from one cigar on the other. I've been very considerate and deliberate in trying to clean my palate in between the two cigars with
Interesting.
still water here. And just from my personal experience coming from the wine and spirits industry, where ever so often we would have to do parallel tastings of 12 different expressions.
Correct.
Of wines or spirits, you really have to train your senses and your mind in trying to clearly differentiate the products and appreciate them for what they are individually. So given that I was trained on this in a very methodical way, I try to be very deliberate in differentiating the products, even though I'm tasting them side by side, but to still give every single one of them a fair chance and a fair shot, and trying to experience them differently and separately. And I feel that focus and concentration is very important in that. Cleaning and cleansing the palates in between is also an important aspect. But I would totally agree with Philippo that still you see there's parts that meet, and there's certain elements, characteristics that you could call coming from the same rootstock and from the very same family. But it's definitely two very distinct experiences that I'm having here with those two cigars, with a unique aroma and taste profile to every single one of them, and that to me is fascinating. But
amazing.
Yeah, I think it
Amazing.
takes a bit of focus and concentration, and certainly having a palate cleanser at hand is helpful in such environments and such experiences.
Excellent. Filippo, how many times have you had the chance or the opportunity to experience this, the parallel smoking that did we, by the way, is that what we're calling it? Are we calling it parallel smoking? What's the term that we're using for this?
I would use a very, very down-to-earth expression as a tasting experience.
Okay. How many times have you
it-
done this with those two cigars so far?
10 times?
Okay, great, great. That's exactly what I want to hear.
Don't
And
Maya.
how, sorry?
Don't tell it Maya.
Don't tell my, okay, I won't. I won't. No, but I'm asking you this question for very personal reasons. The personal reason is I want to know how much of those cigars I should leave for myself. Has the experience evolved for you? Are you able to understand the conversation of the younger man and the older man better? Has this been a static experience for you, which is a beautiful, static is not a bad thing, by the way. I'm not saying it in a bad way. Or the more you try this, you're getting a sort of a different experience.
Oh, the more I try them, the more I know that there are less in the market. So somehow I appreciate every time more. I found I found a kind of trick doing that. It's at a certain point when I get somehow confused. If I get confused, I just retrohale each of them, and all of a sudden they re-become individual. The retrohale of each, it's a completely different experience. And I love this blend because it's not harsh. It's a pleasure to retrohale this blend.
And I love the fact that you mentioned retrohaling, because that's like a natural segue to my next question. And I thank you for mentioning that. Should we remove the rings, light up the cigars for you, and put them in front of you? Would you make the differentiation between them? And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean that out of wanting to understand.
I let Reinhard answer you. My answer is no doubt, no doubt. You can blind me, and I'm ready to take the bet that that I will not get confused between one and the other.
Okay, so the next time you and I meet, one is making money and the other is losing money. This is interesting.
It's not a matter of money. It's not a matter
No,
of
no,
money.
no. I
No.
mean, no. I
What
find
you
it very
say.
interesting. I find it very interesting. I can't wait to try this, and I thank you for giving us such an amazing opportunity. And considering how amazing the cigars are, I'm sure this is very, very, very unique, and I can't wait to try it. So thank you very much.
Thanks to you, Red. It's really an experience. It's not. No, I always. I think it's the DNA of the company. No, 30 years ago, when Maya decided to do an Honduran cigar, the market was has the habit to smoke just one kind of taste. That was the Cuban taste. The European market, we are the European company, were used to the Cuban cigars. So for her, 30 years ago, betting to be in the market with a cigar that wouldn't be a copy of a Cuban cigar, that on the contrary, she really wanted to offer the tasting experience of Honduras. and few years later with Compay till today is still Puro Nicaragua. It's on the same line, no? The concept, taking the idea of terroir from the wine industry into today is something that we are so used to, you know, that to the extreme, you again, coming from the watch industry, you know, it was like Swiss made watches and the rest of the world. In the premium cigar, it's always been Cuban cigar and the rest of the world. And nowadays we are so used to talk about terroir, you know, people that say, no, I like Dominican, I like Nicaraguan, and it's again, it's a new proposal today talking about the terroir. It's such a common conversation that we really wanted to taste, to offer, to share a new experience.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Right. One thing that I would like to add, just by now very deliberately retrohaling both cigars, at least in my experience, what I get from the younger cigar is, again, a brighter and more ethereal quality that would remind me of something like myrrh or frankincense, where it has that ethereal freshness and almost a tingling sensation at the tip of my nostrils, where the aged cigar offers a richer, rounder, and darker baking spice note, and extra layer of sweetness in there. So again, I think it plays well with what we tried to describe earlier in terms of the younger one being a bit brighter and the aged version offering a richer and denser and darker experience in the way the spices are delivered. And so that to me was just a sensation that I particularly had on the retrohale here with those two, and I just wanted to share that with you.
Amazing.
We have our dear fellow and brother Javier here with us, who wanted to say something for a while and who had a question. So Javier, it's always wonderful to have you with us, and thanks for joining us and doing us the honors. If you would like to chime in, please.
Thank you very much, Reinhard. Long time since last time I came, but I couldn't miss this because I have the honor and the privilege of trying this experience before. So, but let me say one thing before that people like Philippo and you come into this industry is like if 20 of us were smoking in a lounge for a long time and someone opened a window. So I love your scopes and your apportations to the industry. Maybe smoking 2 cigars at the same time is too much fresh air for a dinosaur like me, but so I have the experience before. Thank you, Filippo. For me, it was a privilege to smoke these cigars, but I didn't do it the same way. I tried to find the same occasion in different days to give the cigars to have the chance to express themselves in the same way. Smoking first the young one, and then the following day the old one. And for me, it's pretty clear, and I agree much with all the things that you have said about it's like people, yeah? Young people have this impetus, this momentum. There are more fighters, more arrogance, more that they believe that know everything, while all people are more contemplative, more rounded, and a little more smooth, a little more weaker, if I can say, but more deep too, more deep. And I like it very much, and I appreciate the opportunity that Flor de Selva has gave me, because I was very curious about this, and you don't have always the opportunity of smoking the same blend with 10 years of difference. So it was very interesting. But one thing I have to say, not from me, but from Ernesto Perez Carrillo, that he once in an interview that I made him, told me that there's a big difference, and that's one thing that I want to explain and offer you for discussion. There is a big difference between aging and getting old. I mean, once you have struck the vein, the central vein of the leaf, and once you have taken out of the bale, the leaf has nowhere from to extract or to have evolution. And then it started a new process that is getting old. And we don't have to be afraid of or we don't have to be scared with the word old, because we all get old. Some of us, you can see with that we get old. But it's not the same. It's once you have construct the cigar and once you have put it in the aging room, the cigar is getting old and not aging, not having any evolution. And that's what I think that happens with this experience, which I say for me it's been very interesting indeed. Thank you, Philippo, again. And but I find that the young cigar is more bright flavor, more peppery, more citric, more salty, more different, more open-minded, if you can say it, while the old one is more deep, more comprehensive, more goes more to reflection. And of course, if you retrohale, which I recommend all, you find in the nose this difference, because the young one is more itchy, it's more, although it's not a strong cigar. Both of them are half body, as much half body. But the old one, when you retrohale, when you pass the smoke through the nose, is more how can I say it? Seda. How do you say seda, Filippo? It's more, easier to smoke. So for me, this was the experience, and
indulgent.
Yeah. For me, this was the experience, and I appreciate much the opportunity, and I wanted to share with you.
I totally agree. Somehow it's driving an old car towards a new car, no? The pleasure to drive a Jaguar E towards driving a new Jaguar. There, I mean, and again, it's not something you do every day. It's something that you take the pleasure and the occasion to do it, and that was our hope, to have this kind of conversation, to have this kind of experience. Someone can love it and someone can hate it. I'm happy with both situations, respectfully, and I really hope that everyone each can go through the experience and have his own experience. And
Javier, thank you so much for chiming in and for sharing your experience with us. And of course, thank you for the warm words. I can only see people here on the call who mature and age perfectly, no getting old here. We'll make sure we keep you all fresh and engaged at the lounge.
Javier, I just wrote the line today. in a drawing with a god saying that if he knew what the man would become today, he would stay with the dinosaurs. So being a dinosaur, it's a good thing.
Over to our lawyer in residence, over to Macy. It's been a while, buddy, but good to see you, and thanks for joining us.
Well, speaking of feeling old, among other things, I was at my 20-year high school reunion, and I woke up sadly in a motel room in downtown Mesa, Arizona, feeling really old and needed a lot of cigars to help get over that depression. But anyway, we're here. I'm glad to be at El Dorado, the Fountain of Youth. I always knew it was on the internet somewhere. I'm glad. I always knew Brian Julian would be there somehow too. It's strange. I'm just gonna blow through some comments, then get to questions. Try to do this real quick. So, and sir, you can respond to it. I just earlier in the show, I was listening, and I was interested. You talked about seeking honest advice, exterior advice. Now I'm the opposite. I actually seek dishonest advice. So there's the song "Tell Me Lies," sweet little, it's not worked out well, so maybe I need to switch. But anyway, I also want to confess that I originally thought the brand Maya Selva meant Selva in Spanish means jungle, and I thought it meant like Yucatan, like the Mayan jungle. And for years, I thought Maya Selva was a reference to Yucatan, Mexico, where tobacco has quite a history. And my mind was blown when I saw an article, I think on Cigar Journal, and Maya Selva was an actual person. So anyway, I just thought that, and quite the person, I found out. But anyway, I'm probably the only person that finds that funny, but now you all know. Another thing is I recently thought I was reading a blog, and I will name names. There's this guy, there's the Catman blog, and he's interesting stories. But I read a review, and he just trashed Honduran tobacco and said, Honduran tobacco, this is why it's not usually in premium cigars. And I was stunned to read that. I certainly disagree with that comment, but I'll just say that I'm just surprised that there is this belief out there that Honduran tobacco is not exceptionally good. I think that has changed a lot, but I was stunned to read that a couple of weeks ago from a pretty prominent reviewer. And anyway, I think I'm happy when I see Honduran tobacco in the blend, or I seek out blends that have a lot of or purely Honduran tobacco. So that reputation is changing. I don't know where that came from, but every now and then you still find what I would call very uninformed opinion out there about, Honduras, whatever country. And that, sometimes even Brazil, you see that, and there's great, anyway. There's good tobacco everywhere. There's some bad tobacco. You got to smoke the cigars to find out. So I think such a broad point was unfortunate. And Honduran tobacco is and that actually gets into my question, which is, I've been to Dominican Republic, I've been to Nicaragua, all these. What I found is it seems like there's not a really easy way to explore the Honduran tobacco industry, agriculture, processors, the factories. Do you have any experience, or can you speak to, if I were to reach out to factories like yours, others, or just go to Don Lee and, try to reach out ahead of time, is that something that is reasonably accomplished? Or, because obviously there's no festival, and I'd actually kind of like to visit outside of a festival and just do my own thing. Do you know, is that practical, or can you speak to that issue, point on how would someone who's really interested, what do you think the best way to explore Honduras and Honduran tobacco industry would be. Thank you.
Should I stay politically correct? Should I? Okay. First of all, let's take a step back in centuries.
Let me just say, my vote is no. I don't think politically correct, but I've been.
No,
I'm appealing to judgment on a defamation. Well, anyway, so I might be a bad person, but
no. It's just that it's not. It's an easy answer, but it's not a simple answer. Okay, tobacco was born in Central America, and then was sent to the islands. It's indigenous. It's an indigenous tobacco. In the case of Honduras, at the beginning, there were no Connecticut wrappers growing in Danlí. So at the beginning, although we wanted to share the taste of Honduras, it wasn't a poor Honduras. Nowadays, 30 years later, it's 100% Honduran tobacco. The quality, I sincerely think that it's a very high quality tobacco. As usual, you can use tobaccos. You can buy tobacco. We are very picky in our selection, so we really believe that we always try to offer the best tobaccos from Honduras. Visiting Honduras, we used to have a festival, Humo Jaguar, that is no longer in the calendar for many reasons. Okay, there are as a matter of fact, you have less factories in Honduras than what you have in Nicaragua. I would say 10%. I'm not gonna go into this specific point. Honduras is a safe country or can be a dangerous country. Depends how you approach. No, I have two memories. One was when I was in my 20s, living in New York, living downtown New York, very close to Alphabetville, and having friends from Italy coming over, and the first thing they would say is, let's go to Harlem. I said, why you want to go to Harlem? Oh no, so I said, okay. Take the subway, go to Harlem. If you are not back in a couple of hours, I'll go call the police and stuff. And but if you go, please don't go dress up as an Italian guy. Don't have this flash on you that you are a tourist. Try to be part of the environment, and that's the safest way to go around New York. I used to live in Venezuela, that it's quite very dangerous in the early 20s, the early 20th century. And I had this friend of mine that came, and he was going around by himself in shorts, a t-shirt, and enjoying Sitsa in Caracas. And I was so scared about him, and nothing happened to him. because he knew how to go around. It's like going dressed like a safari guy with binoculars or the camera on the neck and stuff. So we would really be love to receive you in the league. You only have to know where to go, how to step in the street, and it's a magnificent experience. That's how I got in love of premium cigar industry, being in the league. Then I'm scared to say to you, oh no, you can go, and then if it happens something to you, I would be very, very worried about, no? But as long as you belong and you share the passion of tobacco, you will find beautiful people in Honduras, and it's an experience that I suggest everybody should go through. It's sure that when we receive posts in Honduras, we take care. Maybe we take care too much about, no? But it's also the love of Maya Selva for her country, that she doesn't want that things might happen, no? But for sure, enjoy it. It's a great experience. There are great factories. Plasencia, it's a cathedral. It's a university. I have such a respect for the family, and the senior Ernesto of Plasencia has always been a guy from whom you can only learn, and the person that I know that it's always open to show how the things are, to entre guillemets to teach. He doesn't hide things, as long as he has this feedback that you approach with love the tobacco industry. No, it's a fantastic country. Then, of course, I mean, it's a country where economical situations are so different from what we are used in Europe, that we have to calarse en la situación, no? To get into the reality. But if you wish, I think it's something that you should accomplish.
I'll just say, I think you're going to have a lot more company. My impression of Nicaragua was actually kind of very sad, honestly, talking with that is a serious story, but I think you're going to find a lot more folks moving up north to Honduras, and so you might have a lot more company up there in the next 10 years.
Hopefully. You know, one of the things I learned from Maya is that we, as a statement, we do everything in Honduras. No? The first thing I told her, maybe it was that I thought that our boxes were not that fancy and nice as other boxes, no? And Maya immediately answered me and said, yes, I could do very fancy and nice boxes, cheaper, if I would do it in other countries, in Far East and stuff. But her compromise with Honduras, with the people in Honduras, is to do as much as we can in place to support the box industry. We print the rings in Honduras. Sometimes we could afford to have other kind of paper, other kind of stuff if we would do it abroad. But as a statement of the company, we try to do everything in Honduras. So our boxes are the best boxes we can do in Honduras, and it's something that we don't show off, we don't commercialize, we don't put it like we are very. And the other thing that we all know, no, I always take the example of pearls, no, the people that that cultivate the sea pearls, they invest enormous amount of capitals, of money, of time to take care of the ocean. Because if you don't have a very pristine and clean ocean, you cannot grow pearls. We take care of nature in all the countries. I think all the people that are involved with tobacco growth, we are facing a climate change. We are losing humidity, we are losing temperature, or we are increasing the temperature in the fields. And we do work a lot to protect the environment. But we are not that kind of industry that that take this care, this love for nature as a commercial issue, to say, oh no, we take care, we don't employ kids in the industry, we are not using chemicals and stuff. It's a reality of the tobacco industry. So it's, as I told you at the beginning, it's not a difficult answer, but it's a complex answer to have the clear idea of the importance of the tobacco industry in Central America. Our struggle is, and I went through personally, seeing a mother one morning realizing that the son didn't sleep at home. The bed, it was in pollute. The son didn't sleep in the house because he started walking all the way to the US, Mexico, to get to the US. This is our fight. Beside trying to have a quality, high standard cigar, we really compromise with the people and with the tradition. If you wouldn't take care of the wooden box industry, in few years, though, because again, those are not industries; these are families' business that live on that business. So we have to take care, because it's an egoistic necessity for the future. If we don't do it today, they're gonna close, and then one day we're gonna wake up and say, "Oh, we don't have the possibility to do boxes in Honduras." So it's part of the DNA of a company.
Beautiful answer, Filippo, and Macy, many thanks for the thoughtful question. Filippo, we're getting to the end of our cigars here, and what an incredible experience it has been. Any particular notes that you experienced towards the end of your two cigars that you would still like to share with us before we wrap things up here?
It's just just pleasure. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, again, it's make me thinking one of a conversation with Maya, you know, and saying tobacco is tobacco. It's not chocolate, it's not vanilla, it's not lemon, it's not, it's tobacco. Yeah, we try to find this this way to describe it, no? But I think that the most correct way to describe a good cigar is just I enjoy the tobacco. The tobacco tastes tobacco, and so I'm happy because both of them are tasting tobacco, give me the pleasure of the tobacco, and this is as usual the best part of the smoke, no? When the heat it's at its top and the strength is getting compressed, and you don't want to stop it. No, I always say then when we do an event in any place, what I do at the end, it's always looking the ashtrays, and because when you do an event, you can ask everybody what they think about the cigar, and they say, "Oh, fantastic, very good and stuff." But you don't know if they're gonna go to the shop the day after to buy it. But the answer, you find it in the ashtray. If they burn their nails, smoke it till the end, you know they enjoy the cigar. If they left it half in the ashtray, you know that they didn't really like the cigar. So to answer your question, I enjoying to smoke it till I get burn my nails tonight.
Beautiful. Well, Filippo, I couldn't agree more with you on the statement that you made about the tobacco. And in fact, you know, we often discuss what's the point of giving all these colorful descriptives and trying to find all these intricate notes to the aromaticity and the taste profile of a cigar when you enjoy wonderful tobacco. But I hope that during today's session, we could share with our audience and with all the people viewing and joining us today some of those intricacies and give everybody an idea of the cigars that that we were fortunate to experience here and that we will continue to the very end. But it was a tremendous pleasure to share this experience with you, Filippo. And what an educational, insightful, and inspiring moment to be shared here at the Light 'em Up Lounge. So thank you so much for giving us the opportunity and the privilege of partaking in that journey together with you. And again, I can only applaud you and congratulate you for the initiative that you took and for the wonderful concept that you have proposed to the premium cigar world. I certainly think, and we often discuss it here on the show, that we need more of these experiences, and we need more such formats where we can share these moments of pleasure and enjoyment, but at the same time take a deep dive and try to better understand the product, try to better understand what's really behind it, and what makes some of the magic that we can experience whenever we take a premium cigar, light it up, and share it with great people. So again, thank you from heart, Filippo. What a tremendous opportunity, and what an absolute pleasure to share this moment with you. We will keep the lounge open as always for all of our fellows here, for all our friends and guests to continue the conversation and to burn our fingernails and burn the cigars to the very end. But I would like to conclude today's session again, thanking you wholeheartedly for this opportunity. And thanks to all of you for joining us today and sharing this experience with us. It's been a tremendous pleasure.
Thank you.
Again,
Thank you.
Reinhard.
That was beautiful.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Filippo.
everyone,
Thank you,
for
Filippo.
joining us today.
Can't wait to try it.
Absolutely. We'll conclude today's session and the live stream at this point, but please stay with us. Join us again next week for another great show in October. Time is flying. It's crazy. We're getting to the tail end of this year. Next week we'll have Miguel Shudall from Crowned Heads joining us for a conversation. Until then, I wish you all the very best. Stay safe, stay healthy, and
Thank you.
as always, many thanks and goodbye for today.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Excellent show.